So this is Calicat the Calicaster. This is making of. You're watching. This is the Uncharted saga, I guess. Turned out to be the Uncharted saga. And then the second half of the Uncharted saga, and possibly the third, because there's probably enough material for two. Before I go down to convention center in a couple 10 days or so. Anyway, 14 days. But yes, the convention's there. So before we do that, I wanted to do a story because it just happens to be the 41st anniversary of the Zhengshuan Academy thing in Milpitas. And yes, of course, we were part of that years ago. And we've been spoofing it ever since then. And this would not be an expose of that. Martial Sporty is that, or the Martial Sportist is kind of that thing. This is not an expose thing. It's not really that other thing. It's kind of looking back on some of that stuff. It was 18 years of the series. It was part of the On Location saga. We did it. It had its moments. But it has moments of weird stuff, too. The COL cult and all that. So I decided that it would be fun to do another TMS episode. I call them TMS episodes. And with enough material to do 2 more like movies. So just keep doing stuff and put it all together. The bridge of the whole story is that they go to the 41st anniversary of the thing, the planet, and it was going to be a nod to other things dealing with the characters being shrunken and stuff. I decided not to do that because they already are. And so yeah, trying to figure out how to incorporate into it a lot of the come on, stop. Trying to figure out how to incorporate into it the song parodies, the COL song parodies. Basically making fun of the cult, not the school. The school part of it was fine, but yeah, they did weird cult stuff and stopped going in 2007. But the character in the story also as well. The characters. It's still Alexander and his crew on a mission. The last episode set it up for another one. The last episode had Captain Picard tell Gumelt that he had an idea to send him on a mission, even though he's nuts and they're trying to test him. Q would be involved again. Yeah, you'd have our main characters go down to this planet where the remnant of the 12 original people are down there on the planet. And I don't know if they've necessarily taken the planet or if they're just hanging out on the planet. It's probably more like they're hanging out there, and they could be a threat to the aliens. But I don't think that this is necessarily a villain story. I think it's more like antagonists and heroes. And it's very similar to the Star Trek 60th anniversary stuff that we already did, in that they're sort of talking and discussing things and ironing things out, counseling things and whatever in the story. Also, it's a thinly veiled reference to the fact that most of the ex-students from that cast didn't get counseling after they left the cult. Yes, and they should have, but not BetterHelp. Don't use that. They're a cult themselves. They're a scam. Anyway, so yes. So here we have. There's no sponsor. We're not sponsored, obviously. So a spoof thing. Wanted to make it to be a spoof. Wanted to have it to be like, okay, we're going to do this. So we're going to have certain characters interacting, and we're going to use some stock footage in it from our earlier Kitty Key COL stuff, which has been taken down and then moved, and then why not use it? So there was an earlier an earlier sort of update behind the scenes thing at the end of last season of the series, before the move, where there was about 20 minutes of a update video that was cut out, where several of the characters revealed the characters. Several it was revealed that there were some goofy shenanigans going on, and then that part of the video was taken out, so that kind of incriminates us a little bit. This is a comedy. This is supposed to be a comedy, and but the idea of what happened to that video, I could not find the longer version of that video. It seems to be gone, but I found like transcripts kind of relating to it, and it doesn't matter because it was addressed in a lot of it was addressed in that Fallen Ones episode, Fallen Heroes, Fallen Legends, I think was the name of it, and the key points that were expanded on in Fallen Legends were expanded on in that thing, even though they shouldn't have been, and it was cut out, and they were aired for like 24 hours, and then less than 12 hours, and then it was taken down, and then that was cut out. And then it was put back up with that cut out, because it kind of makes up stuff, and it should be fun, parody kind of thing, not a and other stuff was a little too identifiable, even though they knew what Kelly, and so I don't know why I'm going on about this particular thing, except this will be a better version of that, basically. So it's a kind of a follow-up, sort of a follow-up to Fallen Legends. It's a follow-up to Code of Ethics. It's a follow-up to those earlier episodes from Starship locations of the other stories, basically. That's what I'm getting at. It's a follow-up to that stuff. So whatever they do, they do. Also, it's interesting that because it has been over 40 years since the other original school opened. And I came there at 18 years old. I came there at 18 years old, and it was 3 years later. After that, the other stuff. So, but it's not really about that. It's really about the Silly Trek version of it, the Sillians, and the Silly Trek version, and Silly Trek Kyungi, and whatever. Not the real people. It's a parody, it's a spoof. It's not meant to be sad or dark. It's just So so this will be a better version of what that was getting at in that weird update thing. This is the better version of that. Make it an episode, make it a little better than that. Anyway, so let's go. This is Calicat, the Calicaster, on the set of what amounts to the latest episode of Starship Locations Uncharted. The connection appears to be this for about less than 43 minutes of that footage from the after show from February that we weren't able to use in the after show, that we cut out, and then aired the other 37 minutes of the after show without that, and then apparently deleted that version too. So these after shows from last February. So there is a version somewhere, but it's on one of the lesser channel. But this is the TMS stuff, the Marshall Sports Doing Swan stuff, and I reviewed it after I did some bridge footage on the bridge, just to tie things together. We have about 43 minutes of this. This is sporadic throughout, and it's kind of saying similar things. It's already there. You also have some kitty key stuff that's already there. So it's sort of a clip show, in the sense that you're going to have use a lot of older footage and then put it in there as sort of pseudo evidence flashbacks kind of things. But it'll be contemporary. It's like I'll take because originally a lot of this was taken down by proxy. And like we need to say that certain family members are like, take all that down. We don't want your face up there doing the COL stuff. Even though it was innocent enough in kitty key stuff, and wasn't doing anything. But it wasn't a problem. But making it action figures instead, like a Starship thing, and putting it up with the action figures. I did that earlier with the little the Funko guys. I put the Funko guys. That doesn't really make sense. So Star Trek, it should be Star Trek people, like we did with some of our other stuff, with the Christmas specials and that weird Charlie Brown parody thing that isn't canon with the other stuff. That one, it's not canon, so it's on another channel. It's not canon. Silly Trek. It just used some Silly Trek characters, Starship Locations characters. This one is canon, and it will be and it's connected to the other episode in that there's a similar narcissistic OCD person. There's a similar place, and this the villain guy Gomeltz goes to this other party place because that's where his mission was. He's go to the party place, and he lost contact, so they have to go on the mission and find him. The planet he's down, and Keptera is the planet that this particular villain was seen. The anti-hero was seen in. That was a planet that he went to in the books, in the Starship Locations books. So having him go there again, if you read the books, you'll be like, oh, he's going back to the... But you don't need to know that he went to there in the books. It's going to be explained in the story. He goes there for the anniversary of the Martial Art Academy, even though actually that is today and it's now evening. It's over. But the story is going to go back to, like, it's just a short time period in the story. That's fine. It's fine if it's a few days later when the episode comes out. You have, yeah, so what I would do with this footage here, sporadically put this throughout with different people kind of saying it. Maybe it's Paris and Locarno or something like that, and they're back and forth. And you can pitch bend some of it and make it a girl, whatever. You can do that too. But yeah, yeah, and put it in there throughout. Also, some of the kitty stuff can go in there throughout, and yeah, there's your movie. It's sort of it's a cheap way to do it quickly, but yeah, just to paste characters onto the backdrop. What you do in post after you film the other footage. The songs, the COL songs, are funny, and the off-color ones are funny too. The off-color ones are funny too, but don't put them on here because not only would the songs technically they could be kind of mentioned, but doing the actual songs makes it a musical. It doesn't make sense. And also, we're not doing that. We're not doing a musical. Also, the dirty songs are dirty. They're raunchy. They're kind of bathroom humor. So put them on the channel with the bathroom humor songs. Fine, that's fine. But not on the Starship camera. On the bathroom, on the naughty songs channel. That Damaged Goods. That's fine. Put it on that channel. But not here. Not on this. But yeah, it's cool you have them and you found them. And but yeah, they belong on the other channel. If they aren't already on there, I think they are. I think they are on there. They're on there with bobblehead people. So I think they are on it. They're already there. So I think they're already there. Yeah. So yeah, you can't use those. They're a little too dirty. We don't need to make a PG-13 episode. I don't know if we have the borderline of having Captain Estrogen returns as well as Jammer. Get to see them both. So yeah. What are the people? It's not just an anniversary of that story and the concept. It's also Star Trek 60 years and Transformers 40 years. But although there's no Transformers in the story, so that doesn't matter. 42 years of Transformers and 30 of Beast Wars. But yeah. So yeah. 1996 to 2026. Beast Wars. But yeah, that doesn't need to be mentioned either. So they go to a mission, they go to sort of a similar party thing, and we have other characters mentioning their story. And we have Kitty Key mentioning his story. Or the various Kitty Keys mentioning their stories, let's say. Okay, that's one guy. Today, the making of this episode was mainly putting together the redressed older clip show stuff as part of their the celebration in the story. So the gag with that is that because they already kind of addressed the earlier stuff, wouldn't they be going after the stuff from just 20 years ago instead, or 10 years ago, and then on? Well, yes, they would do that. Their further success after Elbray. So in the story, the main characters. So there's these guys called the TMS guys, Martial Sportiest, and they're like the success of past 10 years. So they review that vicariously through watching old stuff from Kitty Key, talking about earlier stuff, some of the earlier stuff, and some of the earlier events, which reminds them of the rest of it. Kitty Key's, so Kitty Key's there. That so it ties it in. So it is a cheap way to bring that other stuff out and rehash it as sort of like those grandma letters and mom letters, but in this case it's Kitty Key stuff from Kitty Key era. Reason to stop filming for the evening tonight. That vacuum cleaner thing keeps going back and forth. But also it's getting late, and I did all that other stuff. There is the equivalent of a full movie of that other stuff out there. So yeah, we don't want to just have it be a clipped show. Silly. So I'm gonna film a bunch of stuff tomorrow for both sections of this. Probably make two 90-minute movies out of it. And yeah, because two movies an hour and a half would be 3 hours. Right? Yeah. But yes, so yeah, make two movies an hour and a half, and have the stuff interspersed throughout. Because there's one segment that's 40 minutes long, and I'll split that up. There's this segment. The other segments are usually 20 minutes long, and that's most of it too. 40 minutes is half the movie almost. You don't want to just have a block of text that's literally a 40 minute. You want to break that up into pieces when you put it together. The instances of what's going on. Gave some of the COL, TMS, Martial Sporties people slightly more backstory and powers, and gave the Grandmaster some made up brain pills that she's been given that were meant for cat Alzheimer's apparently. But yes, no, horse Alzheimer's. Horse Alzheimer's. I don't know if horses have Alzheimer's, but if they do, horse Alzheimer's. That's right. It's messed up, so that she would be alert at her party. Yes, there isn't a 41st anniversary coming to Milpitas party. So, like the other party stories we've done, make up one where they're a day or two late for the party. And well, it shows up. The star date is 4302. I know we're doing 2403. Yeah, we've done those stories before, and they're sort of in an inner timeline thing. From Alexander and his crew's perspective, it's 2408. They're still doing that timey-wimey stuff. They're on a slightly different bridge. Hold on, they go to the slightly other bridge. They do the other thing. They have... Yeah, so I wanted to finish for the filming tonight because I just wanted it to you've done with that other footage where you used mostly it was the male voices from the various extraneous cast members who don't really need to appear again in the story because they appear as those extraneous characters in the flashbacks. Yeah. So they're in the flashbacks. But yeah, more of the girl characters show up as the bridge between the scenes. You probably want to have a scene. Well, you want to definitely want to have a Cal Hazel scene with his exes. That's funny. You want to have a scene with Jen Domenico, his exes, AG and his exes. You want to have and possibly together, and you want to have we're not going to do some of the minor minutia stuff. We're not doing the Garden Claw story, for instance. We're not doing the car tire story. It's not mentioned in this version. Don't need to. I think it's in the other one. We're not necessarily addressing the COL love child thing. Well, that is brought up, but I think in this one, it's like they already, like the other story, they already know the grift, so they already know the gossip, so they're just nonchalant about it. Whatever that. Yeah, there were a few of those. I would imagine. It's probably the reason a lot of the early instructors left. They probably were running away. They don't want to pay child support. That's probably what it was. Can't prove it. No, just kidding. No, allegedly. But yeah, the oddity of that group, the cult part of it, is that they really weren't that big. They were just really loud, vocal about being a cult. They were just really vocal. Yeah, they were just out there. They just stayed under the radar. No one would have even known. Yes. Even yes. They say the COL was bigger than the regular class size. I don't know if it actually was, because that would be the law of averages doesn't add up. How could the class size be 100 students roughly, and COL be 200? That can't be the case. It couldn't be the case. It's got to be the other way around. Really. Yeah. The clandestine group. Yeah. If they're counting ET class, but that's a lot of the same people, so that doesn't. Yes, and Kitty Key did give himself a master belt in 2020. And the story is kind of about the honorary titles they've been giving each other. And I like the scene that is just filmed where the guru is basically like, well, of course you did. I did that. They're all, what? And then they look at the one that said what, like, you didn't figure that out? See, that's the way to write a slightly ditzy character. Is it's not that she's falling over herself. And there's somewhat the Gamel script in there, too. There's elements of that. The characters are playing up that. Because it's an Uncharted story. So the idea of this character is not ditzy because she's blonde. She's not even blonde. She's a brunette. But she's just not very observant, apparently. That makes it more fun. It's like, oh, you're just not very observant. Figure out this was going on the whole time. And she was like that. This character that this is very loosely based on was like that. She's not very observant. Famously, there was a story that she didn't know a piano was a string instrument because you couldn't see inside the piano. Didn't know that it was like a big harp turned sideways. The keys. The keys hit the strings. Well, they're chords. String. But it's a stringed instrument. And it really doesn't matter. That story doesn't. This is just a fun thing. It's not meant to be a riff on the former school, really. It's all in fun. It's silly track. It's all in fun. So, yeah. This is the Cal Cats. This is Cal Cat, the Cal Catster, and this is making of the conclusion of the trilogy of so there's going to be making of movies 2 and movies 3 of the Uncharted trilogy, and 2 and 3. And here I was, I had a little too much extra clippy stuff, and shot too much footage of the of some of the other stuff, and so we don't need some of that footage. Also, it's confusing. So I'll try to explain. Some of it's repetitive, didn't need it, and as I go through movie 3 here, I shot. There was 70 minutes of extra footage that was going to be added to something that's already over 90 minutes, right? That didn't need most of the 2026 thing after all. The one where, the shocking stuff, we're going to reveal the shocking reveal. There's a reason it was cut out of the other version of it too, the Adamacon finale 2026. It was cut out for a reason, and looking back on it here, even though I rendered it, put it together, changed the visuals and everything around, there's a reason half of it was cut out. It's because that other half of it is misleading and weird, and goes into things that shouldn't go into it. So let's just say, the way that it's reiterated in the story as well, building up these other events after movie 1 and then movie 2. You don't necessarily need it because they kind of talk about it in the other scenes. And at first I thought it would be really funny if it was revealed that Kitty Key and Cal Hazel, the two different Kitty Keys, at least the two stud guys in the academy, that they were so studly that they had all kinds of daughters, and they line up and they go through the roll call at the end for 20 minutes and 16 minutes, and introduce them to sort of humiliate one of the master ladies who's there, just to show her up, but for some reason it sounded funny when I first said it, beginning of the day. It sounded funny. You know what would be funny is if we have this scene and we film this and do this scene, but actually having filmed it and then looked at it to the dailies, it's not funny. It's just as weird as the other scene with that was not meant to be aired in the Adamacon thing. It's weird for the same reason. Okay, you're showing visually what he was saying, and you're showing the different daughters and the two sons, and one of the sons isn't his. Turns out, that's funny. Well, what does that doesn't have to do with anything. It's not real. They're clearly in a simulation where they're on the planet. They're on a planet and they're on kind of a holodeck, and the party's over. Why would they at that point decide? Yeah, let's just pull a DNA test and check this guy out and run tests on them both. Actually, it's funnier if they don't. I don't mind the scene where, in the story, and you'll see the movies together. The making of is not very long. Do them together because most of it was a clip show. There were a few gonks, but those gonks were in production, so they were taken out, so they aren't there anymore. But yeah, there's some repetition of events from the point of view of other COL, ex-COL people in it. But stuff that I shot after dinner was stuff that was essential to the ending, and there was just some extra stuff that didn't really need to be there. Even the extra stuff didn't need to be. So what happened in the Adamacon 2026 is there was a lot of speculation on who the Kitty Keys' girlfriends were. And they listed a bunch of them by name. Well, kind of, by their COL names. He didn't really. And yes, it's true that there was no test, and there therefore shouldn't be any test in here either, as a joke. It would probably be more like a Star Trek thing off to the side where he says, well, like they did with the one character. He did get with one character in the story. That's the only one he really, He does admit that he got with one of the characters, and 2 of the COL people say that they got with him once. So it's like he's only admitting to one of them. He actually doesn't admit to this last character in the last scene. He denies it. He says that we didn't do anything. But then it's funnier that way. It's like, oh, the other shows up and sons and daughter, and she shows up and he's like, wait a minute, yeah. So the Kitty Key character has a 17 or just barely 18-year-old, a couple of months old, just a little bit over 18 daughter, and another one from another previous fling, 20 years earlier that shows up, and another one that's in her 30s that shows up. So they're in the story. It's funnier story and pacing wise in the story that they're spaced, 30 something, almost 40-year-old one, and then there's a 20 something one, and then the teenager is actually adopted. So yeah. So if they say like that's supposed to be MC Kim's daughter, Tamara in the story, allegedly, it's adopted. No, it's not really his. Anyway, so yeah. So yes, Mark's Cards was informing me he went by the house. I'm gonna go visit the house on Wednesday. They're finishing it up. Yeah. So here we are, and they're moving the house. I'll post on the other channel the house pictures. Want to watch them? Anyway, the other house, the house that's being sold. So yeah, it doesn't matter who those other people were. Again, there were no tests. None of that is official. A lot of that gossip from back then was the COL people trying to annoy and pester the former students and former COL people by suggesting that they were slutty. That was all that was about, or they were tomcats for men, slutty for girls. And it's like they even if they could prove that, it's like look at what your instructors were doing back in the day. It's like, yeah, hypocrites. and the guru, what was she doing back in the day? The things she shouldn't have been doing. Yeah, allegedly marrying one of her students, and then saying no dating for anybody else, just me. I get to date. Yeah, and my instructors get to marry as well. I'll marry them. It won't be official because I'm not a priest or a pastor. Some of them will legitimately go and actually go to the justice of the peace. Yes, that's true. Some of them did. Some of them did it official, got married. But we're not going into that, so that's fine. Yeah, so we're not here to go over the COL stuff again. This is just a comedy story, and yes, the confusing part at the end was pointless. Well, number one, because it just gets more confusing, and let's have all the ladies show up, even though that didn't really happen. But if the guru character in the story, Kenyi, she already left, what's the point of continuing to make fun of the other ones? There was even an extra sparring scene that I cut out. I named all the scenes that were cut out. I'm not gonna include them as deleted scenes anywhere because they don't make sense. Not even in the making of. I guess they could. No, I'm not gonna include. No. Don't put them in deleted scenes. They're not good. They're not fun. Yeah. So that's basically it. There's no deleted scene. Yeah. Don't include them. So, yeah, no deleted scene. We don't need them as deleted scenes unless, the 2 scenes that didn't work. I'm mentioning them, but they didn't work. Also there was a lot of extra stuff. It's not necessarily a clip show. It's about there's 2 movies worth of stuff, and the clips are in it, but the clips are filmed in a way that puts them in the story. the clips are put in the story and filmed in the story. They were shot like they were scenes from the story, so they're not. That their idea of a current party is to watch a seminar on Kitty Key from the 2010s and then up to the 2020s and figure out what Kitty Key's doing. She never does because they've given her the space horse medicine, and she's and she never gets around to it. At the end, she's like, "I want to see a sparring session." So two of her masters decide to spar and hurt themselves. That's it. She wanted the Klingons to do it. There was a Klingon scene that was cut out. Yeah, little major scenes were cut out. I suppose, in interest of clarity of what the hell I'm talking about, I could include the deleted scenes, but I kind of don't want to, just because they didn't work. I think that if I have a scene that didn't work, it's not going to make sense to include it because they're just even more confusing. And yeah, there was no other daughters and sons of the Kitty Key guy that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, if the joke is just that, oh, he got around to the dream planet, it's like, yeah. No. So yeah, this is you're watching the Uncharted 2. So the name Uncharted in this case means the junk zone Uncharted stuff. They're watching the charts. They're watching. It becomes charted at the end. They're on Keptera. I hope it didn't say Keydraconis in there. I meant Keptera. That's in the story. Yeah. But keen-eared listeners will observe a scene. I think that maybe I left that out. Oh, I did cut that out. Never mind. There was a scene that was going to be where they were going to answer the why does Ayer look like Commander Kern? I think I cut that out. Yeah. So yeah, it's not canon anymore if I cut it out. I just suggested. It doesn't need to be answered. It doesn't. Don't need it. No. Go through the whole thing. Go through the two movies. Put them together. See how long they are. They should be more than long enough. They're not doubled up, so they're pretty much straight through. First pass. Yeah. So do the second pass. Take out all any glicks that might be. Also, the part where they show the master belt. They use the footage and then change the visuals, and they took out all the stuff where Honorary built, where you can't see what's going on. It's just like noises. Take that out. This makes sense. Yeah. But yes, interesting clip show story. Cheap way to do it. And if you cut the clips out, the dialogue makes sense as just one 90-minute movie. Really wouldn't. So it needs them. To illustrate what they're talking about. Okay, this is the Calicatster making of again from the same night. To rendering a recopy of the rendering. The thing was acting weird. Yeah, after looking at this one has a beginning and an ending and all that. The first one kind of doesn't have an ending. So what I would like to do is I am actually going to use the bizarre ending. They're both going to air at the same time. I would like to use the ending with the DNA test because it's clearly as the ending of the other episode, as the ending of the second one, because it is clearly a spoof on the lady. It works in that way. You'd have to cut it when you go through it to make it make sense. Don't include the Klingon sparring, that didn't work. Don't include but you can include the reveal of the Klingon guys. It gives it an ending. The first act doesn't really have much of an ending, so you kind of want it to have an ending. They're still on the planet in the two episodes. like we did with the episodes on the Academy episodes, the Gamma Serpentis ones. The same thing. Yeah, and re-render it with that scene added on the end. Yeah, you can include it because it is just them messing with the Sack character. You can do that, but it has to be on the other story. Then it makes sense. They messing with it. Yeah. Yes. So, continuing the Calcat making of this episode, I think we're pretty much done with the first movie in terms of all the pieces. We're going to the second one, and kind of setup. The second one, I also found an old JSW TMS ranks thing from 2006, and to look through the characters and names and see who they all were, and some of them could have easily had COL name changes that made them the Fillettes and the various other ones. And if there were hundreds of them through the school, if not 1,000. So claims 5,000, probably more like 2,000 in that time period, up to 2004, 2006. Yeah, they easily could have been in there and just not noticed. And could have even been higher ranks and not noticed for a while. They wouldn't have been black belts, but they would have been in there. There are clearly other names for them. So, and also the spoofy version of this, you don't actually want to use their real names, really. So, even if we identified them, it would be their fake COL name anyway. So. But yeah, there was the equivalent of a Miriam Kim, even though that wasn't entirely her name. It is funny that currently one of the COL masters, currently 2026, is going by her name as her first name. It's funny. Probably to get Kitty Key's attention. That's funny. But other than that, it's not going to work because she doesn't it's not really his wife. It's a character from a story. But there was one of a sort there, and the sister, the whole backstory about the Miriam Kim and her sister Kate, and they're posting on the bullshit of whoever is currently Miriam Kim is honoring the Kitty Key, pretending to be her. It's probably a dude. It's a dude. But yeah, it was really obvious who some of the other ones were, and we almost gave away some names and didn't. And we're not out to out anyone. This is not a tell-all story. This is a spoofy joke thing where they're at a party. So, anyway, that's all the update for that. Let's go on.
Making of. This is on the 18th. Having watched some of the footage, I know it's several days after the actual anniversary, but these videos take time to put together. Having reviewed movies 1 and 2, there are two new movies coming out. Technically, it's Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3, and we need some glue in the stories. We need some glue, some connecting tissue, and this has been rebuilt as the connecting tissue. It is a set already got struck last night. We probably should have left it. But considering how much of that footage we had of that set, we didn't keep it. I want to connect this. So, these are not long scenes. These are pickup scenes in the control room. Yeah, on the planet. And they are pickup scenes. And the captain doesn't have a chair, but that's kind of funny. I guess he doesn't really need one because he's not, sitting down. He's just stand up for all this. Yeah, it's ergonomic. So I think the idea here is that we have some of these guys who are playing other guys anyway, because they're part of the liminal message that's going on. And it isn't a malevolent thing. They're trying to be like the Organians. and they're trying to teach the TMS people on the planet, which is funny, and they're no older, and so these other guys are sort of pseudo alien things, and they're like, they've got the old footage and they're showing it, and so that's kind of what's going on, and they are similar to the ones in the story. Well, they are some of the ones in the story. However, they will be aliens that are playing them. That will indicate, okay, all of what you're seeing is partly NPCs, kind of like a holodeck thing, but there are some real people in it, and that explains the ending as well, where you decided to use the footage with the footage of the daughters and stuff. That's all NPCs, representing other universes where that stuff did happen to them. Yeah. So there. Yeah. Also indicates that these are near the commercial bumpers. Each roughly, we have 2 2-hour movies and making of, and so these are at the commercial bumps, about 30 minutes in each time, and immediately after any kind of establishing set and whatnot. So yeah, that's what's going on. Just thought I'd point that out. That's the bumps. That's where you would put these little scenes. Yeah. Making of note. This is a scene about an hour into the movie. Making of note, and an hour into the movie, the first movie, we come to this other break in that. There's probably could be other transitions just because it's long. So the second half hour, the hour mark, here is this scene and control room with the Q and Igini behind the scenes. Okay, making of. This is the end of the. This is the third making of in the first movie. It is the scene where they, and there isn't one on the end, because it's fine. There could be one on the end. Let's do a little something on the very end. Just to clarify this, break this episode. Okay, so here is the scene where we get the girls, and they show up, and they discuss with Igini the thing. I'm not sure if we ever addressed this guy. This has to be this guy. Okay. So this is the making of. This is the very end of the first movie. After the incident with the ladies appearing and reappearing, which we decided to include. And this is basically the stinger at the very end of it, setting up the next movie, because there isn't really. This is stinger. Yeah, sort of. Not post credits, because it's before the credits. Action. Okay, the making of, and these are bumpers, commercial bumpers for movie 2, and they are shorter than the other ones because it's a longer picture, and we don't need as much connective tissue. It's connected pretty well. So what we need is them gradually coming to consensus of turning off the space thing, and all the way through. And this will be the first one. It'll be the 30-minute mark, and then there'll be one at the hour mark. Then there'll be one at the hour and a half, 90-minute mark, and then there'll be probably another 2 hours. So it'll be 4 of them. 30 minutes, hour and a half. There probably won't need to be one on the very end because they all show up, except for Igini, who was left. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, the next making of, the next scene is this was the halfway point. So these guys are not in the next scene, really. They're well, maybe one of them is, but not Worf. He's not in the next scene because it's not Worf. It's going to be one of these guys. It's going to be Igini. He's in every scene. He's over here. He's going to be. This is at the half-hour mark. He's going to be talking to Hello Zab here. But that's not Hello Zab. That's the other. No, that's Hello Zab. No, Hello Zab was Sabrina's friend. He was saying hello to Zab. I can explain that. I can explain that. flog them. This is going to be at the 1 hour mark, roughly. I think. I think there's enough in the middle that you don't really need a middle transition because it kind of works. So this is probably near the last half part of it. But let's. It is necessary for the closure of the. So this is going to be basically just before the last hour, I guess. Just before the. So hour and a half, 90 minutes. Let's make this at 90 minutes. This is at 90 minutes. Into the story, half an hour left. That's probably good.
This is Calicats, the Calicatster, and this is another segment of making of this video. This is I rendered the 2 films before the brief tomorrow trip thing, and that is the raw films. There's no music. You have to come back and put the music on it, and yes, there have been some cuts to the movies, both of them, so they wouldn't be 3 hours long. They are 2 hours long. Each one is 2 hours long. There was a lot of repetition in the story background things that weren't played all the way through because you would have caught that. I caught that. So yeah, you didn't catch that. So, all right, I didn't. Stories and events, a few glicks here and there were fixed where where some of the reshoots had to match, some of the other stuff had to match. Some of the where you used audio and then put visuals over there were some hands and shots, stuff like that. There were some people that shouldn't have been in the shot, and that were. There was a scene where they discuss the AG trial, and it, since you included AG in all of the character called AG in all of the Adam Gee in all of the scenes, the reshoots this morning, and it's technically still in production, so there were production reshoots during the film, so they weren't technically post-production, during production, but they were reshoots. We added a few little scenes that kind of glue it together, and he's in one of them. So I put him as the person talking about the AG trial because he's AG. So he's talking about the trial. There's an alien that shows up that's supposed to be Betterman's daughter that shows up, and it's who she's supposed to be, and because there's a lot of daughters in there for some reason. Fake ones. Yeah. So I decided that she shouldn't identify herself as it, but she leaves. It's more interesting. Also, the parts with Bemused. Bemused hasn't been seen in a while. I think since Code of Ethics, maybe earlier. There's some earlier episodes of the show where Bemused shows up. Well, it's not really her. It's not really her. It's somebody playing Bemused. Anyway, so it's not really her. But the character appears again. Yeah. That's fine. And also, the way the narrative structure of movie 3 works. Movie 2 worked in a certain way. This one works in another way. Those repeated scenes weren't necessary. You just needed the other stuff. It was fun to move the elements of that when they do that fake DNA test and they move that to the movie. So there's 2 movies 2 and 3, but in terms of production it was 1 and 2, so 2 and 3, and they were of Uncharted, and they moved this 1 and 2 here, and they moved that. I moved that so that it matches up with the 2026 discussion about they never did a DNA test. The aliens on the planet do a mock DNA test of the other aliens who are disguised as daughters. That's what that scene is. They're not actually there. They're just the mock DNA test. Also, the talismans probably aren't actually there in the story. They're just on the video screen. The aliens are messing with them. So when we get a version of Sandra Talisman showing up and going like, I did this and that, whatever, I'm here too. It's not her, which makes the other scene later on where they did kind of just repeated the Kitty Key Cal Hazel guy gets with Sandy again. Wouldn't that be funny if they do that again? Well, it doesn't make sense because she's not there. They established with the cutscenes and the other scenes that talismans aren't there. The only talisman that's there is the mother. She's there with the Grandmaster. She's there. But, and possibly Shadow Dancer. He might be there too. I think he's there too. Yeah, he's there too. But the girl's not. The daughter's not there. She's not there. So he can't be with her. She's not there. So it's an alien disguised as her. So yeah, that scene doesn't make sense. The aliens get together. And there's a line in one of the outgoing scenes. Well, you'll watch the movie and you won't see the scene. We're not going to show you the scene. We cut the scene out. But there's a scene where the guy addresses it. The Kiriyoshi addresses it. What's the getting lucky scene? Was that real or was that the aliens? And basically, Genie says it was the aliens. Yeah, he was there, but it was the aliens. But yes, so another thing that would be screwy is he was there. What was he? Yes, so that's it. That's it. That's all I have to say about that. That's it. And I turned a 3-hour of raw footage into 2, and there was another 3 hours of raw footage into 2. I had to go over a lot of the beginning of movie 3 or 2. Movie 3 has a lot of exposition dump. It's not so much a clip show as it is. I used stock footage of my own stuff and my own discussions and speeches about Kiki, and then put new video over it. But it is new to anyone watching it, and I cut out all the little inferences of what, as much as possible as to how old those discussions were, just to make them modern. So typical of a later 2000s Kimmy party, actually, TMS party, where often there wouldn't be a party, just be a bunch of people standing around eating food, or a bunch of people watching lots of commercials for various things that the Grandmaster was into, and whatever they were, there's various things. We won't go into whether it's good or bad, whatever they were doing. And as they put on these things, and it'd mostly be a commercial, a lot of commercials. And there might be dancing. Used to be back in the day, there was dancing and revelry and fun, and then sometimes there was a drag show. But the later ones, they didn't do that so much anymore. They stopped doing that. They stopped doing that around in the late 90s. They weren't doing that anymore. And it would just be commercials for, there's a new product I'm going to bring out. I'm going to bring out my people and do a new product. And the party, in quotes, was in fact a commercial for whatever product was being sold. Which, yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah, so that's kind of what this was a spoof of. It's a product thing. It was a Kitty Key episode, which is fun. It was, but yes, it wasn't really a Kimmy episode. She's in it, but it wasn't a Kimmy episode. And they never posted. They talk about the characters like they posted, and then they appear. So clearly the aliens put them there. They weren't really there. It's still a shared hallucination, multi-user shared hallucination. And for actually be there, it's weird. She's suddenly there on the other bridge in the ship. There's a bunch of people doing that in here. There's a bunch of people that do that, come in and out. They're gone. So don't worry about it. The principal main people are Alexander and his crew, and the Marshall Sportius crew, the TMS crew from the concept, now the planet. It's odd that, well, there's a third ship, so there's It's on the concept, and the third ship is the Equinox. So that's probably the TMS ship, the Equinox. They're on that. Yeah, that's probably, she names it. One of them names it. She beams away. Yeah, 3 ships. Well, they only show really one. Minimalistic, minimalistic frozen fireworks at near midnight for the whole episode, part 3. They thought they were just to be weird. Because it had to be at night. The second half had to be at night. So, yeah. You can change that, or you could leave it. It's kind of funny. Yes. So, yeah, odd. Yeah, the bumpers don't even need to be there, really. They're just there as placeholders. And they're in it, so for sure, why not? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. This is Calcat the Calcaster. This is making of both production. This is Calcat the Calcaster. This is making of this Uncharted 2 and 3 making of. The two are together because it's like the 2 movies were filmed together back to back. It's like a 4-hour thing. We cut it into 2. Yeah, and the closing the other previous story. There was a scene where I went on for far too long about this Betterman character who has this little cameo at the end. Her other scene was cut in another earlier draft. I cut that scene too, so it doesn't matter. So both scenes were cut. You don't need to have any dedication to anybody. I was just back from the original Stomping Grounds, and which is not relevant there, but that's where I was. And sent this to record, and then there was no need to go into the other characters. This is a sort of Star Trek, Starship Locations meets the Martial Sportist people again story, 2-parter. The clips have been reduced to the point that they're in it, but they're actually not the whole minutia of the story. Any clips that were repetitive, or clips that were accidentally used twice, those were cut out. Also, the stuff that was really scandalous was not included at all, just like we did with Code of Ethics years ago. That episode. The only way we could include scandalous stuff was to have the Mirror Universe story, and we didn't want to do that. And there wasn't really that much anyway. As the story jokes, there was no DNA testing of any students that went 10 sneaky. So because there wasn't, they didn't raise anybody. They just didn't. COL raised them. Anyway, so also there were some various misconceptions of the show, the series, the thing. Looking back on that 18 years that I was at that academy, although it was good exercise, all the stuff behind the scenes was not so good. They never got as big as West Coast. West Coast had several different branches and still exists to this day. It's a franchise, and the Grandmaster never franchised it. Never had the school expand into other schools. Waited years to test her seniors to masters and stuff. And yeah, it is true that on the bullshit sheet and the stories, she never once mentioned who her master was. She never once mentioned her credentials. We just took her word for it. I'm assuming she did know something, and the consensus was later proven that she did know something. She trained the instructors to be athletic and so forth, and to do things, and the basic. She clearly knew the Taekwondo stuff from somewhere. The other stories which are on the thing you can watch if you want to know more about that. But it's supposed to be a martial sport. It's supposed to be a parody. So we weren't trying to do an expose on the school from over 20 years ago. Why? It was a 41st anniversary thing. Actually, it wasn't that mean to the characters. Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't really meant to be mean, yeah. So yeah, they made it sound like COO was a big gigantic thing, even in the '90s when it got exposed. It wasn't really all that big. I have testing lists from back then, and even the Academy couldn't have been that big. It was just loud. There was even a demo in 1990 where we went to some kind of like Korean demonstration to unify Korea thing. There's no record on the internet of this, which means for some reason it doesn't exist in that time frame. It doesn't matter that went off. Yeah, so that's odd too. There was because there's no record of it. I know what happened. I was there. My guess is that particular instance was just one of her various side projects where we were standing around acting goofy because, sure, martial arts school acting goofy, and trying to, in the guise of not acting goofy. And then in fact, we were not really going to unify anybody. We were just, it was another one of her sales pitches. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we didn't want to go into the heavy stuff. So we went into the jokey stuff, the tent snaking and the fake love children and all that. No one's ever tested me. No one's ever tested them. They're not going to want to be tested. So I don't know. I don't think so though. As the character says in the story, and there were scenes that were cut out of this that won't be on the making of. There were a couple of scenes that were just deleted, like this one that was just deleted from this last one here. And there's no reason to include the deleted scene. There was a scene where Betterman's daughter shows up and says, "Oh, I never figured out who the other daughters were," and then she leaves, going the Betterman to the ship. Lisa, it was like, why is this in here? The other scene with her was cut out, so this doesn't make any sense here. And we did leave the Mr. Palm in there. Left that guy in there. I didn't really need to, but I did, and we're not going back and cutting it out because it was harmless. But the idea that that they thought there were so many students in the 90s. It's wrong. There were at most 200 altogether, and not all at once, not a training all at once. Most white belts never made it to green because it took forever. I stuck with it because I'm kind of like that. I started in the 80s, late 80s, and didn't get a black belt until the early 2000s. But yeah, and then on the day in 2007 when they left, there was pre-black belt stuff going on when they left San Jose, and I had sitting up there on that shelf the second degree black belt on the rack there, and the outfit. I took it, took the belt, walked out. Yeah, so, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, the other ones, there's a lot of joking in here. There's a lot of oddities in here. There's a lot of like hearsay. There's a lot of characters saying they were a daughter of so and so or a mother of so and so, and take it all with a grain of salt. It's the planet. It's the aliens messing with them. And Bemused is one of the aliens in the story, as is Adam Gee. He's also one of the aliens. He may be them, or it may be some sort of alien thing. It seemed like the Bemused character was the one that wanted to make things go awry and be silly and out to people. But at the same time, the Adam Gee wanted things to be peaceful. So there were the two competing forces, the male and female, the yin and yang. See, so it didn't go so much into a lot of the stuff got cut out. A lot of the stuff about repeating about the belts and things and the masters and all that, it didn't need to be there. A lot of it was a show don't tell thing, but that's a you in Hollywood. But here you almost have to show all the time and tell at the same time because they're not moving very much, the figurines. So you kind of have to do both. What there's and in the way that it was re-edited, the 4 hours, the two movies, 2 hours each. One's a little under 2 hours, the other's a little over. It's just under 2 hours. The final one. The way it's edited, I struck it so that the aliens are, the heroes and the aliens are on sort of a holodeck. Think of it as a holodeck, their own planet. They're doing The Sims, basically, an advanced version of The Sims. And they're interacting with themselves and the Xers. They're not too sure whether it is actually them or whether it's aliens that are sims or simulations even of them. So that's why they don't attack each other, because they're not sure that the Xers are actually there. And that was one of the scenes that was edited out. There was a scene where Kitty and Hazel, I guess that's supposed to be Hazel, Cal Hazel, gets together with Talisman. And then it saw the other earlier scenes with versions of the characters that appear and noted, is Talisman even there? So that scene can't happen because she's not there. It's an alien. It's not her. It's clearly not her because later on there's like a daughter of her that allegedly shows up. It's like, okay, this is just aliens. This is what would happen if this happened. Case in point, the character of Emperor, who is a manifestation of the underage character they keep hinting at, or at least allegedly, and she's just my cat. She's literally an 18-year-old cat. So and then she says, "I'm the cat," like in Red Dwarf, the cat. In real life, I'm literally the cat. So the cow cat. So yeah, there's a lot of goofy stuff in here. It's not meant as an expose. It's meant as, oh, this looks foolish, haha, funny. Very much a spin-off of that Code of Ethics episode. So that's all I had to say about this. These two other stories for making of, and I'll leave it at that. Anyway, so yeah, and watching. Yeah, later on I will do other stuff related to the other thing, the other visit. And next week, see Calcat at the GalaxyCon 2026. So this is Calcat, the Calcatster. Behind me is a set that isn't going to be used until after the convention, which is funny. It's not the setup; it looks amazing. But yes, it's after the convention. The convention's on Friday. There just isn't time to do another movie in 4 days, and I don't want to do another movie in 4 days. This is sort of making of, in that it would be added to the other stuff. I'm going to review the two most recent episodes, which were connected. An overview, possibly re-upload them because they have some issues. I shouldn't have posted them until I watched them. Basically, there's stuff in them that mainly is those backstory, silly story, flashbacks. I mean, mainly it's the flashbacks, and it doesn't really involve the titles so much. Also, I called them both Uncharted episodes, but they don't do anything Uncharted. So are they? Or is it just Legacy? I kind of want to change change what they are to make them more in line with the other episodes this season. Basically, it's not like I'm gonna cut everything out completely and start over. No, that's silly. But there are moments in there that are quasi-controversial in the stories that don't need to be there. They don't add anything to it. There's characters that have like a whole soap opera drama backstory thing that does nothing to further the story. The other scenes with the phony DNA test scene, there was a reason I wanted to cut that out, and then I put it in the first movie anyway. And the reason I wanted to cut it out is because it didn't make any sense. So probably losing that scene, as well as some of the other stuff. That just didn't. Yeah, why would they? How would they do that? Not just why would they do that. You want a scene to happen and flow into a story for a reason that it flows, and yeah, I should have reviewed them. And it doesn't work. If there's for the same reason that you wouldn't show the deleted two love scenes and the other, that wouldn't make sense. Yeah, the characters would never do that. What you might use the set for is clarification of scenes that were fixed later. But I'm probably not going to do that. I'm not going to bookend it with, they changed some things around. The Esteban crew goes on the mission to the planet. That's fine. They find Gamelton, and they find the TMS people, the Martial Sportus people, and they're watching movies. That inherently, right away, makes it a little weird that they're down there just watching movies. But it is a spoof of one of the Guru's parties, in which they did that. So that's fine. I'm okay with some of those scenes being in there. Definitely okay with the part where the Kitty Key character, martial sports guy, has himself appear and gives himself a belt. That's funny. That should be in there. But yeah, they're a little long, and there are some scenes that need to be chopped out. And then I'll just re-release them as you can keep I think you can keep the originals up. They're harmless enough, but yeah, there needs to be a re-upload that they're not getting any traction anyway. They've had 3 views. They came up 3 days ago. It means probably it was me watching them. But yeah, they needed something. It just needed something to kind of tighten it up a little bit, make it a little more like a science fiction story with the crew trapped on the planet, dealing with a mystery. And the mystery should not be whose children are who or whatever. That's dumb. That person probably should be cut out of the story entirely. That's goofy. There's no reason for that to be in there, because it's completely made up. So, well, sort of completely made up. The controversy is that the person that actually is that person is inevitably going to stumble across this video someday and go like, "Arg, ah," and the lady and the kid, and they're going to go, that didn't happen like that, and that's messed up. It's not defamation, of course. That's not the problem, because it did happen, but it's not to be reported in a silly track context. It's not funny. That's what it is. It's just not. It's not funny enough. It's not good enough. It's not clever enough. It's just them snarking at each other. And you really want that. You want your story to be fun, go together. I think that's the main issue with these two, is that it worked with the Dinobot story where the snark was intermittent and the goofy thing was the Springer's daughter thing. Throw in the daughter thing. There's no. What is it with these daughter stories? It's weird. They're completely fictional. Ain't me. I'm just spoofing someone else. But yeah, there was a robot that has one. So I think what you got to do is those specific things where they sort of reference a character who could take offense at some point, or another character who might confuse them for the other character. Probably ought to take that stuff off. Just not really address it. Yeah. So it isn't that anybody told me to do anything. It's that I'm gonna go out there before on a limb right now. Say no, nobody did that. It's just that it doesn't flow right with that stuff in there. Yeah, it doesn't need it. I suppose you can keep in the references to tent sneaking and stuff, because that's funny. but not any results of, I guess. Yeah. So there you go. And yeah, some of the characters are a little bit confused for other ones. That's fine. It's the aliens messing. And I think also the bumpers that you were recorded originally, those actually convey some of that information. So better than the other information. So yeah, don't need them. It's like, okay, yeah. And what's the big deal? The male characters were horny. So were the female ones in the story. The characters in the story. It's probably a PL story, technically, without Picard and Forge in it. Anyway, so yeah. But it's still PG-13. It's still fine. It's PG-13. Yeah. So Calcat, the Calcatster again, making of this. Yeah. Doing the titles over again for this thing. Well, just the title card. These are no longer part 2 and 3 of Uncharted. These are just legacy episodes. These are legacy episodes. It makes more sense. Just call them legacy episodes. Uncharted should have been a one shot, and that's it. One and done. That's all it should have been to begin with. These other two are just they're going to be going back to becoming legacy, so you're going to have to repost them. It'll make more sense. It doesn't. Yeah, I mean, with the other fuss of that other fan film going on accident, it would only be a matter of time before the legacy people fussed as well. So let's just not let them by changing it, and then when they go to the website, they go, "Oh, you changed it to something else. It's not ours. We're not worried about it. It's not for profit anyway. Nobody's making any profit on this." This is Calicat the Calicatster making of, I guess, the first one. I took the edits out. That was pretty quick. All I had to do was go in there and take those two scenes out there. There were two longer scenes and two smaller ones referencing the longer scenes. Now they're gone. The ones about the kids of Celebrate Joy from Cult Slayer Us. Yeah, I sort of trimmed that, so now it's just, he's guessing. No. And then the other one shows up and starts talking about her. Then it's like, yeah. So I changed the title credits, so they're no longer Uncharted episodes. They are legacy episodes, which makes more sense. Why would it be referencing just the fact that that one character is on the planet? It's not relevant to the story. He's just on the planet. So this is not meant to be part of a trilogy of those stories. It's just a couple of more episodes of Legacy. So it's meant to be... Well, it is the episode right after that episode. So it is. They're all part of Legacy. The Uncharted one is just using that name temporarily for a one-off. And it went back and edited out the two scenes where they referred to the one lady. The one lady's still in there. She's still in there saying her thing. And that's the important difference, is not having the Kitty Key character say the thing, or having the Angel character say the thing, the Yar figure, but rather the person who started the rumor saying the thing. Then it's fine, because you're basically saying, okay, well, that it's like it's plausible deniability. It's like, oh, this is hearsay, not just from 3 different people who later say the story, but it's from the horse's mouth, so to speak. It's from well, she's not a horse, but it's an expression. I mean, so if this is from the person who spread the rumor, and they're being cheeky. It's funnier that it isn't explained than having it explained. Yeah, don't explain a joke. That was kind of why I didn't want to originally include that scene with them revealing the kids, because it was a joke. It's like, don't explain a joke. It's like, why would they? And it had no relevance to the story. It didn't forward the story to have a scene like that. So I didn't need it. Yeah. So in the next movie, which I will review and add to the making of, I'll have to re-release these two stories in the making of as well. You could keep the original versions, but they might be confusing, so you probably have to remove them. and post this version of them. And considering it's only 3 days later, that happens in studios. Yeah, 3 days later they went through and they like, oh no, that doesn't work. It really doesn't work. It's not. It's cringe. It's a little cringe. Yeah. Yeah. It didn't flow right without it. There was also a brief little snippet of something else. Didn't need to be there. But yeah, it flows way better now. It flows better now. So you don't want to make it like, yeah, if you're doing a feature film, fan film, and it's a little overlong, you realize there's probably too many characters doing a speech. It's also a problem with some of these. Yes, really, the characters is doing a speech. That's not exciting to characters do a speech. Don't do that. Don't do like Kevin Smith in Red State and have a guy doing a speech for 20 minutes. Don't do that. It worked in the Transformers War Stories with the past present thing Transformers things we did because they're robots. They probably would like be programmed to do stuff like that, given a war thing, and it was sort of a spoof of war correspondent stuff anyway. So, thought I was gonna say Axel. No, it wasn't Axel. No, they were spoofing something way before that. They were spoofing something like in 2008, 2002, and 2008. Long time. They were probably spoofing the Iraq War or something. Second one. Maybe. I don't know. But in this one, spoofing the idea that there are bastard children at junks. It's like at the COL is like, that's not fun. I mean, it's kind of funny if it's certain people, but it's not funny if it's other people, and it's just kind of icky. So let's not go there. It works better. It just does. The making of is together. The two movies are in the same making of. It's like a 2-hour making of now. Because they added post-story reshoots, re-upload. Watch the... Yes. Whenever you do another one after this, just watch the movie before you download it. I keep saying that. Watch the movie before you download it. See whether... Okay, this one had... the other one was 1 hour and 36 minutes or 96 minutes with the cut version. And this one is 1 hour and 40 minutes, so it's 4 minutes longer than the cut version. 1 hour and 40 minutes. It's a 110 minute, 1 hour and 40 minutes. So it's yeah. There were some glicks in here and some glonks and some characters that lady voices that were not sped up, so they sound like a guy. There were definitely like numerous glicks in there. Title and credits had to be changed, of course. There were the second one here, Legendary. I realize that changing it from Uncharted, because it shouldn't have been called that, to Legacy again makes legendary titles kind of sound a little weird, but that's fine. Legacy, legendary title. But it's better than any other choices came up with, so we're going to go with legendary titles. I left in the bemused part, even though it kind of is wonky, because there is a scene with the aliens that addresses that a little bit. Actually, in the original draft, I forgot about the scene that was already filmed an additional ending with the aliens in the TV the control room. Because I'd forgotten that I'd already filmed a scene that was similar with the other lady. I kept the scene with the other lady, and I just cut out a couple of lines of hers so that it fits. That works. But yeah, also cut out the gregarious references to the fillets. There are some in there. They left them in there. Some Langhoff ones in there. Made up names. The loose leaf laced on seal on that. And I trimmed some of the other stuff. There wasn't as much mention of the paramours and the mysterious stuff. It's kind of off to the side. And that was all just COL freaking out that ex-students hung out after they quit Junk Swan. That's all it was about. And that's stupid. So what? They're not there anymore. Who cares? But yeah, so all the stuff that could be questionable is kind of removed. And you pretty much you have your story that's not questionable. You don't need. Yeah, you don't need that. It's not an expose of the cult stories. It's a spoof. It's a parody. It's supposed to be funny. These events that are mentioned in the story, including the guy getting a master belt, they're all known on the relative or on those other channels. That silly channels. So we already know what Marshall Sportis did, and we already know the other stuff. It's old news technically. It's nothing new. So that's how it ends. Yeah. This one went from being 2 hours to 1 hour and 40 minutes. So cut out 15 minutes of it. It needed to be in there. And it didn't. It didn't need to be in there. It was already repeated in both versions twice by other people. Sure, I think I mentioned that before. The making of. Did I actually go back and play the footage and go like, oh wait, I already did this. The audience is gonna know. It's not really meant to be a sequel. It's supposed to be a follow-up to the previous story, but neither of them are a follow-up to the Uncharted story. So they should be their own thing. There's the 2-part episode about TMS, Marshall Sportiest. That's what it is. It's 2-part special. On the anniversary of their school going to Milpitas, August of 2026. Well, yeah, obviously it would have been 85, 41st anniversary. But yeah, it's weird that they put 40th anniversary on stuff a year and a half ago, when it wasn't the 40th anniversary of that then either. Because if technically the software group started in '82, their 40th anniversary would have been actually 2022, not 2016, and because they're using 2016 footage, and not 2024 when they put up the 2026 footage and took the logo from the Transformers 40th anniversary, stuck it up. Nobody would notice. It's currently the 60th anniversary of Star Trek. So we want a TMS episode. Or a year late getting to one, and I guess it's worth the wait. I don't know. Of course, the characters are completely parody fictional of them. They're not. Yeah, there's no. Yeah, they're loosely based on some of the other people. Don't worry about it. It's really not anything. But yeah, you had to have a version of Bemused appear, because otherwise, just flow with the other stuff. I take it she's one of the other aliens, basically, in the story. It's just Cal Cat doing all the voices. So, yeah, these people were not in this episode. They're just reiterating stuff from earlier blogs and stories. Rant blog. Anyway, so yeah, this is legacy anniversary for another anniversary episode. Continuing the Star Trek 60th anniversary thing. Stuff. Yeah. I don't think we can get any better than that. We'll see. I don't know.